Hi everyone and welcome for this tutorial how to paint Baratheon Warden. This time we are going to paint with Renly Green. I'm going to use some middle green from Prince Auguste, some white, some black, some chocolate brown, a little bit at the end, a little bit red brown, and just some few different color. So for this tutorial it's a little bit special because it's a good way to have some tabletop miniatures pretty clean and easy to do. So I'm going to start by I primed all the miniatures in Goblin Green from Army Painter and push all the metallic parts directly in black. Just for you to know, the objective, the focus will be to have not a lot of contrasts on the clothes in green and big contrasts on the non-metallic, so that's going to give a big visibility to the miniatures, and it will be more easy for us to have something very clean on the dress and a little bit more strong and contrasted on the armor. Just to beginning my highlights, I push my highlight on every edges with some middle green from Prince Auguste, and after that I'm going to push on the surfaces my highlight on every part of the clothes who take the more light. As you can see, I make it in different steps with different layer. Just let the paint totally dry before continue in that way. Remember, I do that in 2 hours, one and a half, for example, and the tutorial is just taking 9 minutes, so I accelerate and just show you the different steps, not all the paint. Now I mix my green with a little bit of white and I push highlight again on smaller parts of my edges. I try to have something very simple and very smooth on the clothes, and in opposite, after that we are going to make a lot of contrasts, but it can be a little bit dirty on the armor. Now I mix my green with some chocolate brown and I push my shadow into every part who only take shadow on my clothes. As you can see, I dilute the paint to have the consistency of milk, and I push with the side of my brush my different shadow. And now just directly with pure chocolate brown, very diluted again, I'm going to push again my contrasts and my shadow into this part. Take care about always dilute a lot and make different layer to have a strong and stronger paint on your minis. That's a good way to have nice transition. Now I'm going to start my non-metallic metal on the armor. For that I just mixing some white and black to have a middle gray, and I push this on every edges and create my transition with the side of my brush after pushing my contrast. Remember to use the side of your brush and just come in parallel of the surfaces just to push a little bit your paint. Don't try to use only the point of your brush, but all the side of your brush. As you can see, I make on the helmet and the different parts in the same way, always by pushing in the opposite side my highlight. And as you can see, at the end we are going to have some black just near the white. Focus on the edges first, and after you can push on the different surfaces. I just show you the non-metallic on different kind of surfaces because it's always a little bit different. If you don't know in which direction you have to push your light, just take your miniatures just under the light and take a look where the reflection is the most strong. If you want a nice tabletop, remember you are going to see not in front of your eyes the mini, but on the table. So focus on the part who are going to be the more visible when you push your mini on the table. Now with pure white I come back again, but on every small part, and push some point of white to have very strong contrasts on my non-metallic metal. There's two different ways to work: the non-metallic metal in very strong contrast, and the closest with very few contrast but nice transition. It's pretty efficient to have something different on your miniatures, and make sure that eyes is going to focus on your miniatures. Now with some black I push again my contrast just near the white, and I try with very diluted black, always with a consistency like milk, and you push it in the good direction. In the same way I make some lining between my different parts to gain some legibility. Now with some red laser I'm going to push the different laser part, and we decided to use a more hot color to balance all the miniatures. The green and the gray is pretty cold, so it's going to make a good contrast between the two different kind of color. And now I add into my red leather a little bit of white to create my highlight on every part. Just by pushing some points of highlight, because the surfaces is very small, so don't worry about the transition for the moment, and just push in the good direction and tap your brush if you want a more pure color on your minis. And now just some few again step of white to push again my contrast in the good way, and I'm going to make the same on both sides, the closest and the non-metallic part, just to push more and more my different highlight everywhere. If you have any question, don't hesitate to ask in the comments. I always try to answer to everyone, and if you want you can always support me on Patreon. You have all the link into the description section. As you can see, even on the green I come back with some point of white just to push again my contrast. Now I'm going to push some shadow on the laser with some red brown, because it's going to give a little bit more hot color on my minis, and it's going to balance and equilibrate a little bit more the mini. So I'm going to make that on the leather and on the green part, just to push once again more and more contrast on the mini. And that will be the last step for these miniatures. I really hope you enjoy this tutorial. Big thanks to Morgish, my Patreon, who support me and help me to make this tutorial, because he painted this with me, and that was pretty cool. If you are interested, don't hesitate to ask via Instagram for some painting class by Discord. You can subscribe to my channel if that's not the case, and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. You always can support me on Patreon, and I will give you access to a secret private group on Facebook, so you can share me your work and have some feedback directly from me. Thanks again for watching, and see you soon for the next tutorial. Bye bye.